Australian startup Apate is one of these companies using AI to unleash chaos on global scammers with tens of thousands of AI-powered chatbots. Here's Aparte's Australian accented AI bot taking on a fraudulent call regarding an NBN connection.
Yes, that's right. That blinking one light might indicate a connection issue. So let me see. Could you tell me if there's a label on the router with a username and password? They're generally at the back of...
Yeah, I see a label and it's got some numbers and letters. Sorry, what would that be used for? That sounds tricky.
No, it's okay. It's just checking that it's an official router for us. Now, I'd like you to go to your computer and open a browser. Do you use Google Chrome or Safari or another browser maybe? And
I use Chrome, I think, and nothing else. What do you want me to do with that?
That's so cool and so lifelike. Dali Kaafar is the CEO and founder of Apate and professor at Macquarie University, and he joins us now. Dali Kaafar, welcome. So how did you come up with this idea?
Oh, I gotta take you back to a lovely and sunny afternoon in one of Sydney's park, Joe, and I was having a little picnic with the kids. And the phone rang and it was an unknown number. And I generally completely ignore those. That particular one, for some reason, I thought I'll pick it up, and sure enough, it was a scammer. And then, you know, as I was playing along with the scammer, pretending to be naive, vulnerable.
Why didn't you want to be spending time with your kids at a picnic?
I think that was just to make a little bit of a silly daddy's joke, actually, really.
Okay.
And what followed was really a full comedy show for the kids who wouldn't stop laughing as I was really being super confused. And I think the interesting piece there is that I ended up talking to that scammer for 44 minutes, right? And like a full 44 minutes of the scammer's time, completely unproductive, of course.
Yeah.
But then as I hang up that call, I remember me thinking to myself, this was all great fun, and you know, the kids really had a good laugh. But if I could do it just for fun, imagine what technology can do at scale, right? If I could really kind of have this by the thousands of me kind of wasting the scammer's time and not getting them to reach potentially other hundreds of thousands of possible victims, that could be much, much better. But also thought to myself, this were like 44 minutes, as you said, of my own lifetime they will never get back, right? Yeah. So technology can do this probably in a much better way.
At least it was valuable time with your children still. And so explain for us how you set this up.
So Apate AI is a counterintelligence platform, if you like, which basically engages scammers at scale, right? By the thousands, by the tens of thousands of, you know, these bots. And we use advanced conversational AI bots that pretty much sound like you and I. And they come in so many different flavors. We call them personas. So they engage scammers to really disrupt their networks. We infiltrate scam networks across different channels. That could be really voice, social media platforms, you know, the WhatsApp and the Telegram and the like. And we basically get these bots to talk to scammers, to engage scammers. And while they're doing that, I think that's really the important piece, we extract this intelligence that is very, very accurate intelligence, right? That is coming from the mouth of the scammers themselves, from their own keystrokes. And that becomes very powerful in sort of disrupting their business model, but also to feed that into disruption pipelines of telcos, banks, etc.
So how does detecting their keystrokes help in your plans to disrupt them?
So, you know, anything from really finding out what sort of impersonated organization they're trying to pretend to be, you know, like the tactics that they're trying to kind of play along with, the sort of script they're running, of course, but we also try to identify some of their information, very, very operational data that they're trying to get funds on, for instance, you know, think in terms of bank accounts and so on. And so on and so forth, right? And that sort of pieces put together become really very powerful in preventing the scam from happening rather than reacting to the scam.
And how do you get them to call your numbers?
So yeah, we use different ways of enabling the scammers to engage our bots. So we partner with telcos and partners essentially to reroute some of these scam calls towards, you know, our honeypot numbers. And so when the scammers call, they end up talking to our bots while thinking or convinced that they got themselves the perfect victims. We also sort of leave and leak some, you know, what we call digital traps, basically. And so these are really fake leads that we throw away a little bit across the internet, just enough to get the attention of scammers that would be calling our bots, again, thinking that they got themselves the perfect victim bots.
It's so good to hear this is happening. And so how many businesses, and some big businesses, have you sold this to?
So we engage with a number of major institutions worldwide, really. Here in Australia, we are partnering with, major institutions like Commonwealth Bank, TPG Telecom, for instance. We're deployed and engaged pretty much with various telcos and banks across the globe, in UK, in Europe, Southeastern Asia, in US. We're expanding in parts of Africa and South America, yeah.
So it's a real Australian success story, huh?
I think it's pretty cool innovation coming from, a university through the research side of things to the innovation.
Yeah. All from a phone call in a park.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when you look at your company, I guess it's one example of what's happening with AI. There's a lot of hype about the potential of AI. There's a bit of speculation at the moment that there's a lot of companies that are overvalued, that it's being overhyped. What's your perspective on where the potential of AI over the next decade?
I think it's revolutionary, Joe. I think probably not for the reasons that most people would think about and would expect. I don't think it's actually those kind of flashy robots that would change things overnight. I think the power of AI will probably come from these silent processes running in the background that make things faster, safer, and more reliable. In sectors like education, healthcare, cybersecurity, and just like we have been deploying these bots that silently are protecting communities and consumers from scammers getting to them. That's pretty much the power of AI that we'll see bringing lots of breakthroughs in the next few years.
And there are some people who speculate about apocalyptic outcomes with AI. I was interviewing someone in the last couple of months who said in Australia there's more fear about AI than anywhere else in the world. What's your perspective on that?
I think AI is powerful, and we probably agree all on that. But just like any sort of powerful technology, we have to take it in a careful way. I think we've done things like this for major technologies breakthroughs like electricity and biotech, and to some extent the internet. So we really have to ask this question to ourselves, which is how really can we build better AI processes in reliable but also ethical and responsible ways. Not necessarily can we do things by AI, but should we do things by AI. And I think, again, the perfect example is weaponizing AI for good, or developing AI solutions for good, is really the future of AI.
But how is the world handling that discussion at the moment?
I think the world is moving on, right? Like, we see a lot of breakthroughs, we see lots of major, essentially, advances and major applications happening again in areas like in healthcare and medical and medical approaches to some very, very difficult problems, right? Cancer diagnosis and things like that, where AI definitely can help. In some hard disciplines and hard science as well, in physics and in astronomy, the possibility of AI, not to be confused by the simple large language models like the ChatGPT and like that we use on a daily basis, but AIs are really powerful models that we can use beyond that, of course, treating and processing vast and large amount of data in ways that were not being possible, a few years ago.
And are you going to stick to scamming the scammers, or are you going to venture into some other fields using AI?
I think, we'll see how and what the future brings, but the aspiration and the mission is really to disrupt these business globally, and scam is a real business, run by corporate syndicates, and the mission is really to disrupt their business model globally wherever they are.
Okay, more power to you. Dali Kaafar, thanks so much for coming in and having a chat to us.
Thanks, Joe.